You've finally decided to renovate. You've got heaps of amazing ideas, maybe even a few designers or builders in mind, and you've done some research and you've worked out how much you can afford to spend on your build, and you can start to taste your dream home. You're feeling excited, like you've ticked all the boxes, but as my brother would say, what could possibly go wrong? Well, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the answer is quite a bit can go wrong actually. Most homeowners, when they start to get their reno numbers together, they confuse their project budget with their construction budget, unaware or forgetting that there are more costs they need to allow for beyond the cost of the construction of their new home. These costs often come as an unwelcome surprise to many down the track and can easily derail a project. So in this video, I'm exploring why construction costs shouldn't be the only costs on your mind when you're thinking about renovating your home. And I'll share with you all the costs associated with home construction so you can be sure the budget amount you have in mind will cover all the costs of your project, so you too can easily avoid nasty surprises. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the founder of the Zen Reno, and I help homeowners confidently start, navigate and nail their home renovation or new build project, and have a fun and exciting experience getting a home they love living in and are proud to show off. One of the best starts you can make for your renovation is having a realistic cost figure, so you can formulate a budget figure that is realistic. And it's never too early to start to get a handle on this. Renovations go awry because expectations don't meet reality. So to ensure this isn't your reality, you need to understand the difference between project costs and construction costs. Unfortunately, when most people think or talk about costs, they're talking about construction costs, when the conversation should actually be about project costs. But before we delve deeper, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it. That way you'll be amongst the first to know when our videos drop every single week. So, project costs, construction costs, what does it all mean? Let me just break it down for you. Firstly, your construction costs are just the cost of physically constructing or renovating a building. Think the materials and the labour associated with building. Things associated with the foundations and the building itself, like plumbing and electrical, the walls, the windows, the doors, like the structural steel, the timber, the hardware like bolts, nails, screws, the concrete, and some fit out, things like that. Yet your project costs, on the other hand, are the sum of all the other costs associated with your project, from its inception through to when you move in and sometimes beyond. Project costs include the cost of construction plus all the other costs associated with building your new home. These will include things like professional fees of your project team, like your architect and your civil and structural engineers, or mechanical engineers like your landscape architect, interior designer, and any other specialty consultants that you may need depending on the size and the complexity of your project. It includes council approval fees and charges, and construction costs, including variations and a contingency fee, and furniture and other fit-out items that may need to be purchased or allowed for outside of the build or the contract cost. It includes swimming pools if you're putting one in, and hard and soft landscaping elements if they're included, rental and moving costs if you need to move out, and even financing costs and increased mortgage payments. So your project costs are the sum of all of the above. It's really important to develop a project budget that includes all the possible project components so you can work out how to fund each. The costs outside of your construction costs are commonly referred to as soft costs. And many of these soft costs will occur before the building stage and typically will require you to have a money source over and above your construction funding to cover these costs. So depending on how you choose to fund your construction, which is why it's important to have a conversation with your financial institution early to really understand what your funding options are, Doing it this way means the funding needs for your entire project is identified early, and the problems associated with unidentified or even hidden costs can be minimised, reducing the chance of budget blowouts or you scrambling for money at some point down the road. Typically, your construction costs will make up a big part of your total project costs, and this can be around the 80% sort of mark. And construction costs are commonly referred to as hard costs, and the other costs that make up your project costs are commonly referred to as soft costs, as I mentioned before, and these typically make up around 20% of your total project costs. One of your cost buckets should also include a contingency sum because things will crop up unexpectedly, regardless of how prepared you are. So, having a sum set aside for this eventuality, 10 to 20% is a typical figure, but your project will dictate this to some extent. A renovation on an older style building may require a larger contingency sum as there will be more unknown and variables that you can't allow for, things like wiring and plumbing. Look, the fact is that there are many variables that go hand in hand with renovating a home, not to mention hidden costs that you need to allow for. And if you don't make allowances, expect to get a very rude shock. Without at least considering the weight that these costs can carry and making allowances for them, you won't even come close to coming within budget. And it's the kind of weight that could stop your project dead in its tracks. Too many budgets are formulated using only the construction costs, not considering any of the other soft costs, setting their maximum available amount of money at that level well below what it's actually going to cost them and will be necessary to complete their project successfully. And when the budget is gone, the construction inevitably stops. Or your only alternative is to increase your loan to meet the shortfall. And that's not a position you want to find yourself. Let's wrap this up with the quick rule of thumb to get you started, and it's called the 80-20 rule. Allow 80% of your total budget for hard costs, which is your cost of construction, and around 20% for soft costs, plus a healthy contingency sum to cover any little surprises that will inevitably crop up. Follow this rule and you'll be off to a great start. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future episodes, and feel free to let us know how we're doing. We're always listening. If you've got any topic ideas you'd like us to delve into, drop us a line or pop some contact details in the show notes. The Zen Reno channel was created to share useful tips about renovating your home, and our aim is to help you navigate your dream home journey successfully. So join us each week as we pull our knowledge and our experience out of our brain. See you next week.